So this is a list of all the black superheroes I've been able to interact with. Some of them are awesome, some of them are mid, some of them are horrible, but this is just my views. So today I'm going to be taking a look at black superheroes, people who have chosen to use their powers for good, and of course, this is non-DEI affiliated in any way. To be real with you, I just don't think you can actually fake authenticity, and I don't want to put a spotlight on those black characters that are just not real to me. So, for example, Doctor Who, the black Doctor Who, nope, that is not Doctor Who. I want real black characters, people who we've seen throughout the years, who are non-DEI affiliated, who don't have any woke biases on them. They're just there to do their craft and grace us on the silver screen. So these are the characters that I saw, though I felt that are the biggest on the silver screen when it comes to black superheroes or to that kind of genre. So for me, maybe I might have missed out on some people, so you are going to let me know. As you know, with the motherland, it's always important to start with the ancestors. And we are going to start with Shaka Zulu. I think Shaka Zulu wanted all the smoke and the fire because this guy could walk on hot coals like it was water. It didn't matter who you are, whether you are trying to get his throne, or you are a rival tribe, or you are a westerner trying to get a piece of his land, you are gonna get it. I remember gathering with the family around the TV just to watch this series, and we watched it religiously, and we had to wait a week for the next episode, man. Thank God for the internet, man. Thank God. So let's go back to the Western Hemisphere, and as always, we have to start with the ancestors here as well, and we're gonna start with Django Unchained. If you are a slave and you were living back in the 1800s and you were picking cotton and you happen to imagine what a black superhero would be, I think you would only think of one person, Django. Somebody who wasn't afraid to take it to the man. Another black American ancestor who's a myth is Mr. John Henry, who competed with a steam-powered steel drill and still came out on top, but at the cost of his life. His story has been told through a blues folk song that has been transmitted from one generation to the next. I wish he could have been alive long enough to actually hear his own song. But that's what we do to our heroes. We wait for them to die and then we appreciate them. Having covered the ancestors, now we can focus on the modern heroes. When you look around, there aren't any black anti-heroes out there, and this is why Black Adams had to succeed, but sadly it didn't. I think like any other Dwayne Johnson movie, it's The Rock acting as well, you guessed it, The Rock. He never actually portrays the characters he's supposed to actually portray. His acting range is very minuscule to say the least, and this is another victim of his, well, workmanship. I think The Rock actually wanted to fight Superman with Black Adams rather than fight Shazam, who was the natural enemy of Black Adam. And that was baffling. I mean, you gotta earn the right to fight Henry Cavill, man. And anyway, even an appearance from Henry Cavill at the end of this movie couldn't serve him. When your show has no stakes at all, when you are very cringeworthy and you survive on cliches, then you get a show like Black Lightning. For me, this show didn't move the meter at all. To be honest, the main character is actually a family guy and he lives in a good family. But if for this to be interesting, we need conflict. And I just don't think a dad who does a lot of dad jokes and is quite cringe is the right person for this. I think a superhero, once they become a sidekick, it's very difficult for them to actually become a main protagonist. And I think this happened to Falcon. And it's happened before. We've seen it with Robin. I don't think Robin can actually have his own show because he doesn't have the aura of a Batman. And I think for Falcon, it's the same thing. Because Falcon without Captain America, it doesn't feel the same. And I think that's what's really happening with Falcon. I feel the main reason why Falcon's screen testings haven't gone well, it's simple really. It's Captain America without Captain America. And that's the whole gist of it. I just don't think they should have gotten rid of Captain America. Captain America could have still existed. I think from a psychic character, you always have to limit your expectations with them. And I think that's the best way to go about it. But what they did to Falcon was trying to prop him up as the main guy and it didn't work out because people are used to Captain America and they can't change that. No matter if you give him Captain America's shield, no matter what you do. So I think that's one of the main reasons why I think Falcon was just never gonna hit it with the fans. I think the first thing Marvel should have done was actually make Falcon and Captain America very distinct, but they didn't do that. And what we got was a bland superhero with no edge to it. And I say this with actually liking Anthony Mackie's work. I just think Falcon should have been their own different entity. And that's why I think when he said that Captain America isn't representing America, I think he doesn't get it. He's actually there to replace Captain America, and he's already antagonizing the fans. So I just don't think this movie is gonna do well. And I just don't think Anthony Mackie is gonna survive this unless he keeps his mouth shut. And I just don't think that Hollywood actors have that discipline to do that. So basically now it's time to separate the wheat from the chaff, and this is gonna be interesting. This is now what we've been waiting for. So I'm going to start with Luke Cage. I like it, but the problem is I just think it's full of too many stereotypes. He's been incarcerated, he is bulletproof, and he works at a barbershop. The stereotypical black man from America. If you were to ask any ops out there what superpower they would like to have, I'm very sure 99.9% of them would say bulletproof. We all know that American prisons are full of incarcerated black people, and it's not getting any better with time. I just think we need a cultural shift to actually make sure that we don't get into this and we don't glorify media that actually glorifies this kind of lifestyle. Stereotypes aside, this is a very entertaining series to watch. I especially enjoyed the second season of this series because of Luke Cage's crazy brother who was quoting Bible verses and wearing a super suit trying to unalive him. I think the greatest black villain I've seen is actually Luke Cage's brother, who was portrayed by Willie Stryker. I just think his performance was flawless on this, and there's nobody out there I think can compete with him. Okay, having talked about the stereotypes, I think there's something else that Luke Cage offers that I think is very positive. He's a black man with a lot of responsibility, and he is a man of his word. And I think that is just impressive. And for the power he has, he's not trying to be elected as mayor. He's not trying to play power games to actually make himself a bigger image or a bigger person out there. He's just trying to help his community and get on with his life. In a genre full of superheroes with spandex, I just think Luke Cage actually makes a niche for himself, and he stands out and he shines, especially because of that bald head of his. I think a spiritual successor of Shaka Zulu has to be Black Panther, because I think they actually brought the African culture back into the mainstream, and this was in a modern way with a city full of vibranium. In essence, I guess the ancestors are still speaking to us through the Black Panther. I think Chadwick Boseman had this aura around him that he brought the Black Panther character to life, even when you're standing toe to toe with people like Iron Man and Captain America, even all Avengers. He did not lose his place. He was actually an equal. Also, the fact that Chadwick Boseman filmed this movie while he was still getting treatment for cancer, I just think that is just impressive, man. That's a real life superhero, and that's why I think this character had a lot of life in him. He was authentic. To be honest, I just think that Blade is the coolest black superhero, him and his black shades and his black clothes, and of course, let's not forget that cat. And he's still good even in 2024, because we see in Deadpool and he still got some moves. I just feel that Blade was one hell of a badass, and he could whoop ass from wherever it came from. And this guy wasn't joking, man. When he suited up, he was ready to just take out some vampire. The Daywalker wasn't messing with nobody, and he was out for blood. Maybe to drink it, but you know what I mean. I mean, it doesn't get cooler than a daywalking vampire, always on some black shades, always trying to get some heads rolling, if you know what I mean. So I've decided I'm giving Wesley Snipes his flowers. This was a great character, great premise, but I just feel the first movie had all the magic. After that, everything else was not really that good, but the first movie, that was just awesome. Okay, so having checked out Blade and Black Panther, you're probably expecting another live action show. I'm sorry, but I'm always going to choose animation over live action any day, anytime, because for me, the amount of creativity that gets expressed in animation is just way off the charts and out of this world, and I mean that literally. So for my first animation, I'm gonna go with New York's finest superhero, Miles Morales himself. I guess Miles Morales added a little bit of swag, swinging around New York. I mean, this boy is jumping, man. And even more, I love the story behind Miles Morales and his uncle, and the whole way like they made it so much more interesting, but also paying homage to the real Peter Parker. And speaking of the real Peter Parker, there was a case that meant that Marvel might not be able to use Peter Parker. There was a case that was pitting Steven Ditko versus Marvel, and it was all for Peter Parker's image rights. But at the end of it, they settled it. But Miles Morales was supposed to be preemptive in case they lose the case. I just feel like Spider-Man is the best when it comes to pulling off a multiverse movie. I feel they handled Peter Parker very well in this movie, even though he belongs to another universe and the Peter Parker that is in Miles Morales' world is actually dead. I think the biggest thing about Miles Morales was his backstory. It was pretty well done, and also they incorporated his identity as Spider-Man rather than Spider-Man as his identity, where he would have just been a fraud because he would never be Peter Parker. I think Miles Morales had a story to tell, and for most of these DEI hires I see most of the time, it's usually they don't have a story to tell. They're just there to tick boxes. Okay, so this is my top choice, and you're all gonna be shocked, and probably some of you are gonna blast me on that, but here is why I'm choosing Afro Samurai as my top superhero, because I just think this guy is a level, a league, a legend above everybody else. I think when I just look at Samuel Jackson, I always think of Shaft and also movies like Pulp Fiction. I think he is the quintessential black man who can kick some serious ass. I think if Ubisoft was really smart, they would have chosen Afro Samurai to be a representation of the game they wanted to create. They wanted a black protagonist, and here there was one, and who was cool and who had great lore behind him. But what they went for, I just don't get it. I just think if Samuel Jackson as the voice lead for this game, it would have been incredible. And I think the anticipation for this game would have been astronomical. However, what we got in return was not actually what we actually requested, and I just think that Afro Samurai is a very stellar IP. I think somebody should pick it up and actually make a game out of this. When I look at Afro Samurai, I look at how diversity is done the right way while respecting other people's cultures, but also adding a little bit of that flavor from yourself. Afro Samurai is the hill that I'm ready to die on. And I just think if you feel differently about it, let me know. But I think this is a great choice. I think this is what a black superhero should look like. Sadly, there's another superhero I missed out on, and that was Michael J. White's Spawn. However, to be fair, this movie has mixed ratings. And also, I'm really excited about a trailer I saw a couple of weeks ago featuring Jamie Foxx as the lead. I think this new Spawn movie is gonna be something else. It has potential. And as such, my list could change just because of this movie. So I'm keeping an eye out on this. Thanks for reaching this far on the video, and if you can, please like, subscribe, share, and see you on the next one.